Now, as we know, Cheryl Cole and Simon Cowell have put their differences behind them for her to return to the X Factor. But where does that leave Louis Walsh, though?
I know. Well, Dan Wootton, head of show business at The Sun newspaper, has spoken to Cheryl and Simon in their first television interview. Have a look at this.
Simon, Cheryl, you were side by side. What happened? How did he talk you around?
Well, you know, there's only so much begging one can take. It's not nice to see a grown man cry, so I finally succumb.
I have to say, I'm a massive fan of the X Factor, as you know, but it hasn't quite been the same since you guys left in 2010. And it's a big reunion. It's a big deal, isn't it? Everyone's very excited.
When you mentioned 2010, I have great memories of that show. I can remember the talent, I can remember the famous dress.
Yes.
Yeah, with the 2 discs.
Which you loved,
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. We had so much fun, Dan. And I think in a weird way, the way things have worked out, it feels like we're starting again and coming back.
We have to be honest, there was friction.
Yes.
There was, you know. How did you guys patch it up? I mean, I'm very intrigued.
I heard a rumour Simon didn't want anyone to know it was his birthday.
Yes.
Which highly amused something inside of me. So I found out from, you know, people, I won't drop anybody in it, where he was, how long he was going to be there. Was he there on his birthday? And then I sent a plane across with a banner. So I just let the whole place know it was his birthday, what age he was. And I made it fly around the place the same amount of times of his age.
But deep down, were you a bit like, thank goodness she's actually communicating with me in some way?
I think the response was, I.am.going.to.kill you.
So no then,
No.
Definitely not happy.
No. But I was highly amused for a long time.
But you know what, Dan? I mean, I've done this a long time. You have fallouts along the way. I held my hands up and said I made a mistake and I was sorry, and I was sorry. And then when I decided I wanted to come back, I also decided I had to have Cheryl back on the show with me.
Can you give us any hint about which direction those other judging spots are heading to?
I'm reading reports that we've offered the job to people and they've turned it down. It's complete rubbish. I mean, we've spoken to people, but we did agree when Cheryl agreed to come back on the show that we would agree together, because I'm not going to put somebody next to her who she hates.
So Louis Walsh is leaving the show then, that's official.
That's amazing.
And Dan, very naughty man, joined us that morning.
I have to say, Cheryl actually loved that moment. She said, that's amazing, and then went on to say, actually, I would rather have another girl on the panel.
Right,
so
right.
we're seeing this power battle already because...
I interviewed Louis Walsh 2.5 weeks ago, OK, and he told me that he was definitely coming back to it. So has that changed now, then, that she's...
Well, here's the thing. Simon has told Louis that he's definitely coming back, but Simon has also told Cheryl Cole that she's going to have the final say on all the other panellists.
Right.
And you've got to remember that history between Simon and Louis, because, remember, he managed her in Girls Aloud, and they had an almighty falling out.
Did.
And then there was a war of words between them when they judged on the X Factor together too. But what I think is Simon Cowell's very clever at this sort of thing, right? And I reckon what he will do is talk Cheryl around, because actually what he wants on the panel this year is fireworks between the judges. And I got the sense from Cheryl yesterday that she won't give Louis an easy ride this year if he's back.
OK, and it becomes all about the judges again, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does.
Which is slightly a shame. But we don't know. But I think she's right about having another girl. I think it should be equal, don't you?
Yeah,
It should be two
because
girls.
there are
I
a
don't
lot
know
of,
who, though. But
well, there were a lot of rumours that actually Simon wanted her to be the only female judge,
Right.
so all the attention was on her, and potentially Ollie Murs would be a third judge
okay.
alongside
Okay.
Simon and Louis.
Sweet.
But no, Cheryl was very, very determined about the fact that there will be another girl on the panel. The catch is that she gets to choose who.
Right.
OK.
That's
Because
big.
it's all
Doesn't
about
want
that
to
moment.
bitch fight.
No, but it's all about the moment when they walk through and you see what outfits they're wearing, the dresses.
Yeah,
and that
although
business as
she's
well, isn't it?
desperate, I think, for it not to turn into another sort of Sharon versus Danny, Danny versus
But
Cheryl
it
type
will.
situation.
You know that it will. It always does.
Well, it's great fun
And
when
do you
it
think?
does,
I mean, do you
isn't
think they genuinely get on, or is this just business?
They do. I mean, I have to be honest, there was a sort of a weird electric chemistry in that room yesterday because there's this sort of slightly odd combination with the two of them between hating each other and serious flirting. And it just works. It does just work. Something happens when you put Simon and Cheryl in a room together. I think she is probably one of the only women in the world who gets the better of him.
Right.
And he loves that.
And can actually, and has got the confidence to stand up to him as well, and to be a bit
Absolutely.
cheeky and maybe to tease him and all that, because
Absolutely.
other people people would be too scared.
Now, listen,
Completely.
you know about these things, OK? Who do you think will be that fourth judge?
Do you know what? If I had to put money on it at the moment, I would say Ollie Murs. I still would say
Yeah,
that. But I would
be
say,
good for
look,
him.
don't rule out Nicole Scherzinger or Sharon Osbourne coming back at this point. That would be the other tip that I would say.
Okay, fantastic. I know you're going to be back later on after 8:30, and we're going to talk about babies and all that sort of stuff.
I
from Simon
still think
Cowell.
you should be there.
Unleashed. You imagine it?
it'd be brilliant.
You imagine. Thank you. Lovely to see you
you,
later.
guys.
Really great to
Fascinating.